Tarun, thanks so much for joining today. Just want to understand before we get into the interview, how has the year been so far for you for Aether Energy?
Year, you mean financial year? Like since April?
I would say this unfortunate pandemic year, like, which has continued and the last 2-3 months.
I'd say last 6 7 months were honestly great because we that's the first time in our life that we actually began sales and then we started focusing on it, started growing up a distribution and the results were terrific. There's a ton of excitement everywhere, but obviously last 2.5 months have been very painful. Business is fine actually, like that's understandable. Obviously retail's shut, but just the number of people who've come down with the virus and like the kind of fear that's been around us, not great. So last 1.5 months in particular bad. Otherwise fine. Yeah, like I remember like thinking back in March that life is back to normal, everybody's growing, everybody's a unicorn. It's brilliant, it's amazing. So yeah, things changed.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So my question to you is that, electric vehicle space in India only, I would still say is nascent, and you guys are leading in this space and electric scooter space. And I was also noticing that there are a lot of brands which have now the big players who have also launched their own electric scooters. And
Mhm.
I was searching on Google, and there was this voting, which is the best electric vehicle scooters, and yours came. Want to understand from you, since 2013 to now, what does it mean to build an electric vehicle startup business out of India and do so well, phenomenally well?
Yeah, so it's been a lot of heads down hard work. Uh, I've kind of realized that we've not been like a typical startup. The first 5 years of our journey was really not selling anything, or not even like there was no customer also. So first 5 years was just a ton of engineering, um, and that was the opportunity. The opportunity was that nobody was willing to build a product in India. Nobody was willing to put up all the tech stacks required for an EV in India, and we saw that as a as an opportunity, and possibly the only way EVs could go mainstream. So we committed to it, and till 2018, all we were doing was basically just that, right? Like just um, no installs, no MAU, no DAU, no revenue, no customers. Basically, just keep building a product that you kind of agreed as a spec 5 years back. 2018 to 2020 for us was an incredibly long market survey, you can call it, like 2 years to sort of establish product market fit. um, it's a vehicle, uh, customers, and it's a vehicle that people have experience with, right? It's not like a new mobility device. It's a scooter. Everybody's ridden a scooter at some point in their life in India. So how does an electric work for them? Does this price point work for them? Does the entire connectivity story work for them? Does the design work for them? Because remember, like until we launched 450X, honestly, my simple opinion is the vast majority of scooters in India have been like Honda Active or its clones, right? Like that's what the scooter market in India has been. The bike market has been super mature, scooter market not so much. So there's a lot that we were trying to figure out, and the cycles are longer. So for about 2 years, all we did was basically just keep our eyes and ears really peeled for customer feedback. Just kept bringing that back in and bake that back into new changes. And it was only last year, actually only November last year, that we kind of reached a point where, hey, we've distilled the understanding. We, I think, understand the customer well enough. There is product market fit. The economics of all of this is trying to make sense. You don't want to sell hardware at a loss, right? Like it's not for too long. That's when we started actually doing the more traditional piece of business, which is growing distribution and scaling up sales. And 5 6 months going great. Wave two obviously is kind of shut things down for a while, but very different journeys. 7 8 years, a fairly long, extensive, deep tech stage. A couple of years of just product thinking and establishing product market fit, learning how to and these are things that startups don't get a lot of experience on, right? Learning how to set up a plant, a manufacturing facility, figuring out suppliers all over the country, hiring for all of that. It's been a mix of very different journeys coming together.
But I have to say hats off, and I'm sure everyone watching would agree, and I'm sure everyone knows of Ather Energy in our country, but that it it is hard. Like I can't even imagine what the last the 5 years where it's like a tapasya, right? You're like meditating for an outcome. Right? And what a phenomenal outcome. The question here I have is that your interview, which PTI, and we had also published, PTI came in PTI. You said, and I have to say this, that today Ather has the most competitive cost structure in the entire EV industry, and I believe over the course of the next 1 or 2 years, this will actually be the cheapest architecture and offering the highest performance. Now tell me, what does that mean? Because it is a very strong and bold statement.
Ways to look at this. One, you look at Ather and you kind of imagine that, hey, we're building a great premium product. It's obviously priced high in the market, and that's the product perspective, right? But the bigger bet that we made at Ather is the engineering bet, and that's how you should look at the entire story playing out. The thesis that we had at Ather was not just that building a good high-end scooter will get electric mainstream. The bigger thesis was that building all these different tech stacks together in an integrated fashion will actually give us the only viable cost structure for EVs in India. And this was not like a unique learning. We'd kind of seen what Tesla was doing, where the ability to go deep and control every single component gave them cost structures that were in many cases 2 to 3 times better than some of their more mass market competitors, right? We saw some of this happening in other industries also. So our bigger bet at Ather was, and for the longest time, like every investor that we spoke to kept scratching their head, how come you guys have a 300-member R&D if you have 0 sales 5 years into your startup journey? What is this math that you guys are running here, right? And we are very clear that we know that the long-term value, that the long-term differentiation comes from being able to invest in all these different pieces, and not just picking them up off the shelf, and continue to stay focused on integrating them and improving the integration with every passing month, every passing quarter, and that's starting to pay off. The first few years were incredibly hard because when you start building things yourselves, everything looks super expensive, right? Because you've not gotten any industry advantage. So the first year or two was incredibly painful. We lost a bunch of money on every single vehicle produced. With 450X, the last scooter that we put out in the market a few months back, a lot of this cost structure got rationalized, and today we have positive gross margins, we have positive unit economics, and most of our components fell down in price from between 50 to 60% over the last 1 or 2 years. Now, as we keep peeling these buffers that exist, so I'm getting a little I'm staying too deep in the architecture, but if you have the luxury of not just picking up components off the shelf and then just sort of sticking them together, if you build all of them, you are able to remove a lot of buffer that sits in the middle. This is a simple example. This is the reason why mobile phones stopped having swappable, removable battery packs after some point, right? Because you could just save a ton of money, you could save a ton of space if you just integrated that into the design. And the best phones now have everything integrated, like there's nothing removable, right? Same thing we believe will happen with vehicles. So we keep bringing it in, and as we keep bringing that in, we've realized that our costs are dropping at a much faster pace than what industry trends are. And basis that, whether it's the battery, whether it's the powertrain, whether it's the electronics, the touchscreen dashboard, we're kind of now projecting that in about 18 to 24 months, we will likely have the lowest cost structure than anybody else in the industry. And that's just because we are the only ones who are actually integrating it to that extent. Almost everybody else is still essentially buying stuff off the shelf. And I repeat, it doesn't sound natural for somebody who's today building a premium product, something more like a Model S, right? Tesla Model S, to, sort of, it doesn't seem natural that you will have the lowest cost structure because you're selling the most expensive scooter. But it's just funny that, that's how the industry evolves. We believe that sector, that segment, opens up a business for us. And with that business, we're able to do more and more engineering, and that is eventually paying off, which will pave the way for cheaper and cheaper products.
And Tarun, just explain to us that, how does the space, like, how does it work? Because in most of the vehicle segment, you see the volume market, right? Like the mid segment is where the volume is, and where you make money. Right now, you are in the premium segment, and a lot of I see from Honda, which is an investor. Hero is an
Hero.
investor in you. TVS, Ola is getting into it in a big way. With all these kind of players coming, with the capital coming, how much does capital play a role in this market? And are you also going to be going in the mid segment?
So today we are in the premium segment. Um, the segment works for us today because, as I said, it allows us to, even though we have a more expensive cost structure, we rather had an expensive cost structure, it allowed us to have a viable business model without losing money. Allows us to build a sustainable business with this, right? And then as costs keep dropping, we enter bigger and bigger segments out there, right? So we do get into larger segments. Would we launch an Activa competitor at, let's say, 1 lakh rupees? I think that's a few years off, right? I also think that that segment's got to get very crowded. Ola's got to launch there, like all the legacy players have got to launch there. And I think if those guys can do something, they're phenomenal. I think we have a business. We got to stay focused there. There's a customer that we understand, right? I don't think we should claim that we understand every single customer out there immediately. I think that's what kills a startup. So though it may seem attractive, we want to stay focused on the customers that we do understand, and at price points that works for them. So while price point will drop down, I don't think it drops down to a lakh like an Activa price point in a year or two, or maybe in 3. How much is capital play a role? So my view on this is a little different. I think there are a lot of internet businesses where capital can be a moat, and it's a winners take all market, right? And that's because you're changing habit, you're creating a ton of loyalty, right? And transactions are very frequent, right? So if somebody just gets used to using your app, and you discount your way into it, right? Like you just throw a bunch of cashbacks or discounts for like the first 100 transactions, at the end of 6 months, 1 year, the person is used to using it. It's become a habit, right? That's not the case in an electric vehicle, right? Like you've got one transaction per customer for like 5 years or 7 years, right? If you discount massively there, that's it. Like lifetime value will genuinely be like lifetime. Aapko 30 years mein lifetime value nikalna padega, right? The customer is not going to come back in the market for like 7 years. So it's at best a surrogate for marketing, and you don't spend tons of money in marketing in automotive. Yes, a lot of quantum, but as a percentage of revenue, it's actually very small. So, what do you use your capital for then? If you don't want to discount, and if you discount, you've just lost money and it never comes back, and you don't create value with it, what do you use the money for? Faster expansion? That's fine, but that's not exactly a moat, because that's got a business case behind it. Capital being burnt faster than others can be a moat, but I just don't see that as a very convincing argument in automotive. So we raised a bunch of capital, but if your question is, would there be a cash war? Would there be like a burn that will happen over the next few years? With everybody burning a few $1 billion, it could happen. I don't think I want to be a part of that. I think there's a very healthy business that can be created. And remember, automotives vehicles are things that people just don't buy because it's just 5K cheaper. And EVs are not there. EVs are still at a place where people are making a big leap when they buy an electric vehicle. So the decision doesn't fluctuate because of a small price difference. It really is dependent on, it's a personal thing. It's you buy into the brand, you buy into the experience. You've got to believe that you're not going to look stupid if you ride this vehicle, right? So there are a lot more layers than just the pricing. And where it's just the pricing, which is the mass market, I think we are still a few years away from there.
I have to tell you, I really like your, if you call it a store in
Indranagar.
Indranagar. It's so cool, right? Like one feels like cool, sexy, neat,
Thank you.
and it just one feels very proud to see it. I want to understand now. Tell us about your customer, people who buy from you, and how are you? Again, it's premium. How are you? You know talking to them in the sense like what's the positioning today, like Tesla you've talked about, it has a certain kind of, when you think of Tesla, okay, someone who'll use Tesla would be this kind of persona. So what's the persona that you building and engaging with?
I'd say people who are buying our vehicles today, and that's evolved a little bit. But one common theme that I've seen among our customers is that they are early adopters of some sort. Okay, they get it. Now, what is it that they get? That's different, and then there are two, three different segments that seem to have existed, come up. For some, it's the technology, and which is why we focus more on the connectivity and the smart aspects of the vehicle than even more than the electric aspect of it. For some it's the electric base, right? Like it is the fact that that you understand what electric is. You know that electric is actually superior than petrol. For some it's and specifically with our current variant 450X, it's the entire sports appeal of it. Like 450X, there's a base product promise that the company makes, Ather, but then with X as a specific variant, there's a promise of extra performance. So for a lot of people, they like the fact that they're riding the fastest accelerating scooter in the country, right? And that scooters will generally get there. So there's a lot of early adopter aspect to our customers that we have seen. Generally, however, what I've noticed is for most customers, this is an upgrade for them. And like when you're asking, like what do people think of this as? For most people, I think they think of this as an upgrade. And by the way, this is actually starkly different from what we originally thought will happen. When we began conceptualizing the store that you see in Indiranagar, and this is way back in sometime in 2016, our guiding, our number one worry was somebody should, after an experience here, believe that electric is legitimate and electric should be seriously considered and it's not a toy, right? But it's evolved over the last few years, and we've realized that most people now walking into the showroom are expecting to be wowed by electric, right? Like they're like, I'm clear, electric is going to be like an upgrade for me. Tell me what's exciting about this, right? Like I know what an Activa is, I know what a Maestro is, I know what a Jupiter is, and they're fine. Tell me what's awesome about electric, right? And that's amazing. And is actually forcing us to rethink the store a little bit as we focus on those aspects. But yeah, that's one of the underlying themes for people, how people are looking at us today.
You also got it patented, right?
There are over 50 patents here. It's not
50. That again brings me to this question. The more I'm talking to you, the more one thinks is that yours is a case study, right? Like of entrepreneurs who came, built it the hard way, the long way, the right way. It has taken 5 years, and then you said that you have a team of 300 people doing R&D. One doesn't hear of these many startups in India like this. I want to understand, Tarun, from you, what did it mean when you went to raise money, and did you get many buyers earlier, people who believed in your vision, and what was it like? And this is very important for a lot of people who are thinking of building your kind of business, because it's not easy.
So the first money in the system was actually customers' money. It doesn't materially move the needle, but it's still a romantic story. The first time we were trying to raise any capital, the one of our first angel investor, V. Srinivasan of Aerospike, he kind of suggested that why don't you guys do a crowdsource campaign, right? Like crowdsourcing was a pretty big thing by then already. There were a lot of these campaigns running. I wasn't super excited about it because I was like, यार vehicle बनाना है, मतलब कब बनेगा, कब वो crowdsourcing के पैसे से, like I'll take money today when I'll deliver. So I didn't actually run a formal campaign, but there was something intriguing about it, that are there customers who will actually pay money today, right? Like itna, like will that level of confidence and interest. So we went out and started meeting people. This is before the company is incorporated. This is before we have put pen to paper. There's nothing but a spec sheet that just me and Swapnil will have with us. And one designer had sketched out something on paper, right? So we showed that sketch and we said that roughly this is the kind of top speed, this is the kind of acceleration you will get. And you want to price it at certain price. And I kid you not, the first person that I met cut me a check for 85,000 rupees on the spot. So I told him that, hey, I'm going to charge you 85,000 rupees an early bird price. Will you actually pay us money? He said, yeah, I'll pay you
It
money.
is
Like,
a
this is
romantic
amazing.
story.
Yeah, so I'm not kidding, right? Like, this was we just wanted to, like, kind of get a feel. We also like, thoda market survey bhi ho jayega. Do people like this spec? And amazingly, the first conversation went so well. Like, the person was, like, just completely on our side. Like, exactly, this is the kind of spec that should have been built. I don't know why people are not building EVs like this. Tum log ekdam sahi kar rahe ho, yehi karo, I'll support you. So I got super motivated. I was like, you know what? We are thinking of running a campaign. Do you want to be the first supporter for something like this? Will you pay us money right now? He said yes. Said, like, I'll take checks. And he cut a check immediately and he gave it. And then I went and met five more people. Should I kid you not? All five of them gave us money.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody
Wow.
gave 20,000, somebody gave 10,000, but a bunch of them also
But
gave us
still,
85,000.
yeah.
So he collected like about a few lakh rupees this way. And that's when we went back to the angel investor that, listen, we're not running a full campaign, but we made about 30 people, or I think, sorry, 30, 35 people. 20 of them gave us money, right? So we got a bunch of money in the bank. I think this works, right? I don't want to wait for another 1,000 people to give us money and, fund the business. Why don't you give us some money now? So, he gave us our first angel check. Fundraising's been way different than typical startup. Our fundraising has never been on the back of well, until now, has never been the back of actual business metrics, because we didn't have a business for the most part. It's been largely largely been product based and vision based. And we've been lucky from our first large angels, which was Sachin and Vinny, who gave us $1 million back in December 2014. And I remember being amazed by it, because at least back in 2014, $1 million angel round seemed like incredible. Um, and then Tiger Global, and then Hero MotoCorp, and Hero and Sachin have backed us over multiple rounds over the last few years. We've largely had investors who've had like a 10, 15-year view at it. Whether it's Sachin, whether it's Hero, both of them have had like 10, 15, 20 years ka view also. So that's really helped. It's good to have investors who are not thinking of in terms of 2-3 years, because at least in the first few years, 2-3 years, man, nothing would have changed, right? Like, you gave us money and 2 years later we're still building a prototype. It's just a better prototype. So unfortunately, your I don't know how will your valuation metrics change. So it was good to have investors who had a long-term vision here. But fundraising's been very different. For the most part, a banker couldn't have done anything for us, at least until like last year.
That brings me one question. I don't know if I should ask, but I had this that Hero has invested in you, and they also have electric vehicle, no, that they have
That's
launched.
that's a different company. That's a different company.
Okay, okay.
Our investors, Hero MotoCorp, the guys who build Splendor and the bike guys,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fairly famous. Hero Electric, it's a different company. It's owned by another member of their family, which is why they can use the brand name Hero, but they're two different entities, nothing in
Okay,
common.
okay. Yeah, because I thought that at some point you will be competing with people who've invested in you.
That might still happen, because ultimately Hero MotoCorp's got to have EVs, right? You can't have a future in India now as an automotive company if you don't have EV strategy. So that might happen, but we see.
But
Like,
Tarun, I see this confidence in what you've done and built comes on the back of really building a solid product, right? Because today you are in the market and you're saying that, hey, we'll compete, whatever I asked about the capital market, whatever, is that our product will be the right one and the solid one. And then I think that's the focus, right?
yeah, that's all we have done, right? What else will I have confidence on? After 7 years of building a product and investing in the engineering, if I now say my confidence comes from distribution, I think it'll be thosa crazy. So that's all we know. That's all we have really understood really well. And we do genuinely believe that, see, it comes from the customer. A customer, first and foremost, is really falling in love with the product. All said and done, I know scooters are called as utility purchases, but I don't know of anybody who just went out and bought this as a commodity. Like, I have at home, back in Ahmedabad, 4 scooters. I've got 3 family members and they've got 4 scooters. This And not a single one of them that was bought over the last 10, 15 years was bought as a, okay, kuch bhi khareed lo, theek, it doesn't matter, right? Like, kuch bhi, it's fine, it's all the same. No, people don't buy stuff that way. Like, even the lowest scooter is like a moment of pride. Like, you fall in love with it. You understand stuff. So I've had a very strong
You
belief
take it
that
to the
product is central.
temple and
You
you
take it
guide.
to the temple, right? You do all of that, right? It's a big thing. So I've always believed that it starts from the product, and if and that's got to be the first bridge that we build. everything follows from it. If you get that wrong, I don't think there's any amount of capital, there's any amount of marketing that can save us. And if you get that right, you get enough chances to build out everything else, which is why we've been so focused on that.
So how has it been building the team? Because your team would not be, it's not like you can get the engineers. I am sure you would have looked at specialists, and building that team, was it easy, was it hard? Also, because it's also very symptomatic of your answer would be like how India is doing right now in terms of talent.
I think the first few years were very interesting because our hiring pitch was essentially, I think the first 50 hires, a very large majority of them came from a very common background, which is they were in engineering, and they were working on something called as FSAE in their colleges, which is this project where students build together a race car. And my co-founder and a lot of our early team members came from exactly the same background at IIT Madras. So I think they resonated really well with that background. So our pitch was very simple. Listen, you guys were building vehicles at college. You really loved it. And that's what you did for 3-4 years. Here is an opportunity. Come build the same thing here and we'll also pay you. Right. And I kid you not, like people, like at least the first 2 years, hiring was like, first 3-4 years, hiring was just amazingly easy because, that was such a strong pitch. And I think we're also lucky that, we were probably the only ones doing that in India. There were not a lot of startups. There were not a lot of companies hiring with that pitch. We put engineering left, front, and center of the company. In many other auto companies, engineers came last. They didn't get a chance to build. They were just forced to do integrations. They didn't get a chance to really dabble with good tech. We offered our teams, I think, a different opportunity. So hiring was very different and possibly easy the first few years. Then, as obviously the operational requirements came in, we started hiring more experience. Hiring got harder because now you're hiring from the market. Today, I think a lot of the team is built. Overall, like whether it's R&D, whether it's operations, a lot of the team is built. People also know about Ather, so now it's different. But the first few years, honestly, were fantastic. I think with every person who joined the team, it was like you're joining like you're joining like a revolution, right? Every person coming in, there's like a lot of excitement. The person coming is so happy. He would come in and say, "I'm so glad I left that company. I'm so glad. I'm so glad." So
And it's
you
so
genuinely got
uniform.
that startup feel.
I think you would be the only one, right, at that time,
Yeah, especially
right?
if you wanted to not just hardware. Hardware, there have been a few other companies, obviously, but especially in the automotive side, there was just nobody. There was just nobody, especially not electric vehicles, and especially nobody rethinking a vehicle from this conceptual layer. Like we were not even like, yeah, listen, we build electric vehicles, खाली बैटरी बनाते हैं, मोटर बनाते हैं, ठीक है, बाकी फ्रेम में उठा लो, एक्टिवा का सस्पेंशन उठा लो, वहां से इतना सोचना तो नहीं है. We were like, no, we got to rethink everything, right? Like here's an opportunity to go back 100% to the drawing board. So no, why should we build a steel frame? Like let's rethink. Let's use aluminum. Let's use a bolted frame. Let's not weld a frame altogether. Like the amount of creativity that it opens up and amount of freedom that it opens up for a really competent engineering and design team was just phenomenal. Which is why I think hiring, especially in the first few years, was a pleasure.
I have to ask you this. Like, how did you think of this, doing this? Like, how? You had to be a little mad to do this, no? Like, right now.
Actually, mad is not the right word. We were stupid. We just did not know how hard it is. And I've said this to the team multiple times. If on day one we knew how hard all of this is going to be, 100% we would have dropped and run away. Uh, when I made the first business plan, this is 2014, I thought $2 million and 25 people takes a vehicle like this to production in 12 months, right? I was just not just wrong. I was like absurdly wrong. It took like 600 people and like 700 crores to take this product to production over 5 years. But I think that naivete and that lack of awareness really helped because you just keep thinking you're making progress and it's just one step away, right? It's just one step away. It's just one step away. Um, if you knew that it's like 1,000 steps, you probably would give up too early. So it's good to start without knowing a lot. And that's what happened for us. I guess fresh out of college, we wanted to build an energy company. So we thought we'll build batteries and charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. That sounds like the job of an energy company. Met a lot of customers. Customers told us that they hate their vehicles. So we're like, oh, then why build batteries only? Maybe we should solve the customer problem first, which is not just batteries, but really the full vehicles. And very easily we made this pivot. हाँ ओके, तो फिर चलो व्हीकल बनाते हैं, ठीक है, बैटरी भी बनाते हैं, चार्जिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी बनाते हैं, व्हीकल भी बना लेंगे, बिग डील. एंड वी स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग अ व्हीकल, right? Took us like a long time to realize what did we get ourselves to, right? But then it was fun. Like you're talking to customers, you're really having all these product ideas, and it just kept getting more and more exciting, and we stayed committed to it. Yeah.
Tell me, do you get acquisition offers? I'm sure people must be trying to get Ather.
Yeah, पता है, I think as founders we are not very acquisition के लिए बने नहीं है शायद हम लोग. So
मगर
see,
आता तो होगा ना, पूछ रही हूँ, ये इंटरेस्ट तो होगा.
how do I comment on this? No, I don't think I can comment on this. Sorry. So I got. The thing is, our vision's been always a little larger. Look at the name, Ather Energy. Clearly, we didn't name ourselves Ather Motors, Ather Scooters, because in the starting vision was ultimately over a 30-40 year horizon, we have to build an energy company out of this. And in some sense, the entire automotive business is like a step towards it over like a decade. I've always thought of, how two-wheelers will help us put out more and more batteries and more infrastructure out there, charging infrastructure out there, how that builds a lot of volume and breadth, and how using that we build bigger batteries and bigger infrastructure for bigger vehicles, and how all of that eventually allows us to, be actually a significant driver of energy in the automotive world, and use that to actually. So yeah, who will then who is this an acquisition for, right? Is this an acquisition for an automotive company, for an energy company, for a battery company? So yeah, I think at least our hopes are just larger.
No, I'm just saying we really want you to build a phenomenal company from India, because this is such an outstanding story, and that brings me to the question on, Tarun, you've been in this space. As India, are we doing enough when it comes to EV to develop the EV ecosystem? And I'm not, again, of course, I can compare to China, I can compare to different markets, but हम कर रहे हैं क्या? मतलब क्योंकि overall लगता है कि हम बहुत पीछे हैं when it comes to EV.
I think the timing has only become right abhi. If you wonder 5 साल पहले क्यों नहीं किया, it wouldn't have made sense, to be honest. 5 years back, 2015, 2016 mein, a lot of things were still not 100% in place. Even we didn't want to launch a vehicle in 2015. Batteries still had to come down. Like a lot of the policy had to change. A lot of clarity had to emerge on charging infrastructure. So I think, but today where we are, where a lot of the industry tailwinds are as far as cost structures go, where petrol prices are, right? And I kid you not, I do believe, I strongly do believe, more than anything else in a democracy like India, the only thing that will eventually move the market is customers' interest, right? Policy nahi move kar sakta. See, policy can only facilitate if the environment is correct, right? If the environment is not correct, and the environment is correct is essentially just a byword to say customer interest है. कस्टमर इंटरेस्ट अगर नहीं है ना, आप कितना भी सब्सिडी दे दो, कितना भी पॉलिसी सपोर्ट लगा दो, आप कितनी भी कमेटी बिठा दो, नहीं बिकेगा ना, वो नहीं बिक सकता, ठीक है. बट इफ कस्टमर इंटरेस्ट इज देयर, then like policy starts chasing it, because obviously like customers are interested, policy will chase it, right? And I think that's where we find ourselves, like especially the last 1.5 years. Customer interest is very different. Like I don't know of many people who are thinking that the next vehicle will also be a petrol vehicle, especially if they bought something now, right? I think most people are very clear. Next, like abhi agar car kharida hai, to next car is definitely electric. Abhi agar scooter lene ja rahe hai, then they definitely want to look at an electric vehicle now, right? Like it's in serious consideration. And this was not the case even like 3 years back. Because this has changed, I think now a lot of policy will just chase it, right? Like, and we're already seeing it. Central level pay, we have good support, but state government level pay, like now there's competition. Like every state wants to be that EV friendly state, right? They want to have, like their flag announced there, that some policy announced there, some subsidy, which is the right dynamic. This is how things will work in a market like India. We are not China. So obviously I can give a lot of input, as to what more can happen, but I don't think बहुत पीछे है. In fact, I do believe that we are likely underestimating the space, the speed at which EV transition is going to happen. It's going to be incredibly chaotic. It's going to be incredibly messy, but it's going to be super fast. most people are still drawing linear graphs. Most people are still like, हाँ 3% annual EV transition होगा. मतलब कि कौन सा technology graph 3% per annum ऐसे जाता है straight line पे. Like you will have 1%, 2%, 5%, 18%, 35%, 100%, right? So I think you're still underestimating the speed at which everything's gonna change. But yeah, I think timing is amazing.
So you are saying that right now is the time where there is a
Oh,
lot of
100%, 100%. Like
yeah.
electric vehicles, I've kind of, especially on the two-wheeler side, uh, I think we are probably 12 months away before any segment of EV will have a better total cost of ownership than a petrol scooter. And I think we're probably maximum 24 months away before there is price parity, upfront price parity. So yeah, like upfront price parity and running cost is 6-8 times lower. You will have to be like a petrol scooter zealot to, नहीं मेरे को तो petrol ही खरीदना है. So we're going to very quickly switch from the early majority to the or the early adopters to the early majority, and maybe even the mass adoption. The graph is and we're seeing that, at least in Bangalore, what we're seeing in our own sales, it's just a freaking hockey stick growth. Like from November to March, just 5 months, our sales in Bangalore went up 3x.
Wow. Wow.
And that's despite us increasing prices on our only product that we had, right? If we could go back to the old pricing, I wouldn't be surprised if it doubles or triples up again. That Indiranagar showroom that you really liked is the highest selling EV store in the country today.
Wow.
It is selling. It's just outselling any store in the country as far as EVs go. And I'm not even saying that's because Ather is fantastic. I'm saying, listen, that's going to happen to almost any EV company. Like customer interest is just crazy high. Customer is just crazy high.
But and I think this pandemic also will accelerate the shift in thinking, behavior, and consumption. Yeah. Last, Tarun, before I let you go, you've and a lot of respect, honestly, lot of respect. मैं पागल हो जाती अगर मुझे 6 महीने पैसे नहीं मिलते. आप 12 महीने में मेहनत. You've done it, and hats off. What an incredible story for everyone who will be watching this, and also because you उसको fruition, success सब कुछ पे ले आया है, एक और journey है, and there's a story to this. If I had to ask you today, from the vantage point of building it from 2013-14 to now, what gives you strength as an entrepreneur to be ready and to be ambitious for the next leap that we are going to make? And where can we think of Ather in the next few years?
The driving thing for us has been always the larger vision and the larger opportunity, and that's so massive. Like forget energy, even the electric opportunity is so massive. Forget success. Like I think we've just discovered product market fit. I don't think we're close enough to being successful, right? Success would be us selling like 1 million two-wheelers every year, right? 1 million scooters every year, and maybe another million or two bikes on top of that. And that's still likely not success, because India is going to be a 30 million car two-wheeler
Please, you're
market.
being
Right?
humble. What you have done, not many people have done. So, okay.
That's okay. That's us being first of the mark. But I think like just the scale of what we have to chase. This is a 250-300 billion dollar market that's popping up over the next decade. The volumes are just humongous. Like the work that needs to go on infrastructure across so many vehicles. It's just crazy. And I think the primary thing driving us is that like exciting times ahead, right? अभी तो सब बनाना है, right? Like अभी तो we've I think just discovered that after 7-8 years of work, what we were doing was the right direction, right? इस पे काम तो अब सारा होने वाला है, सारा value creation तो अब start हो रहा है, and every stage has been different. I personally, as an entrepreneur, right, like, and that's what I told you, right? Like first 5 years is a lot of deep tech, and you're putting a very different hat on, right? You're not putting a sales hat on, you're putting an R&D hat on, you're putting a product hat on. The next 2 years is largely a product and an operations hat. What we're now putting on is largely a business sales market wala hat. So it's been very different at different stages. And now that some competition will emerge, like growth will be very different, pace will be very different. I think we're going to look. I think our day to day is going to look very different. So especially as a young founder, honestly, like I just feel blessed कि इससे अच्छा मतलब I don't think I can't imagine like a faster career or like just a personal growth, like और क्या कर सकता हूँ, like that'll teach me anything faster. So it's a massive kick.
Wow.
You wake up to that every day.
No, but very, very, very proud. This is a phenomenal story, and you're saying it very simply, but one understands, right? Like you are in the big boys world of automotive, which has strong entrenched players, and today you've created an identity, and if I have to say, then a very successful identity, yes, long way to go, as you say, but a very, very phenomenally successful identity. And then also as a startup from India, this is incredible. And then we're very, very proud of your story.
Thank you, Shraddha. Very nice to hear that.